Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Good afternoon, evening, good morning, depending upon where you're calling in from. If you landed in this space, you are at one of the open house sessions for the Threshold Lab from the Moment Institute. Getting everybody logged in and audio connected.
It's always such a glorious moment when the door opens and people arrive.
Yes, yes, it is.
See everyone's beautiful faces. And interesting backgrounds.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, it's such a wonderful call to join where, you know, people, if they can share their camera or share their face on screen. I work at a university and a lot of times I'm just staring at kind of an empty screen or profile pictures. And it's so nice to be able to see everyone looking back. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. I do want to introduce that I have some co-hosts with me tonight. My name is Emily Ray. I am co-piloting David here at the Moment Institute with the launch of the Threshold Lab, which is a new learning community that we are launching, and invite you all to participate with us tonight and get a little demonstration of what it's like. I have a couple of amazing friends and co-pilots of mine with me. Got Kathy Gause here, Moment Institute, longtime friend, collaborator, community member, and also Kathy Washburn, who is joining us from her travels around doing amazing things around the United States here. So I couldn't be more excited. David himself is on retreat in the UK. He is hosting his first live event in over 2 years with a group that gathered just outside of Bath. And if I'm doing my math right, I think they probably should be wrapping up the retreat, most of the activities this evening, and will be off and back into the world tomorrow. But for tonight, you have me and my two Kathy co-pilots to just engage you in community and conversation here in the Threshold Lab. So to get started, I would love to just do a check-in. I would imagine that we'll get a few more people joining the call here, and you know, just want to get a sense for who's in the room and what curiosity or what interest brought you to the lab today, or brought you back to the lab today, because I do see several faces, familiar faces here, who have joined us in other open house sessions. Feel free to add in the chat, or if you'd like to, you can just speak up.
I'm happy to speak up. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joy Spencer, and I just discovered, I think, Moment Institute online through a search. I went online and I was looking for narrative change, narrative coaching, and that's sort of what popped up. And then I saw that there was an open house for this session. I was like, oh, I absorb information better hearing it from a person than reading. So I was like, let me just hop on and see what it is. I'm that person who, whenever I get on a call, I just punch 000.
Take me to a person.
Yes, exactly. Take me to a person. My background, I'm an executive leadership and storytelling coach. So I did do internal storytelling and speaking coaching at Navy Federal, in addition to OD work. And so storytelling, narrative change work has become more interesting to me, as I feel it connects with my previous work of social justice policy work. So it's kind of like everything's coming full circle. So I'm kind of like coming back into the world of how can story and narrative be used to foster change. And so I'm just looking for all my people. So that's why I'm here.
Well, welcome. This is a wonderful community. I hope that you have a chance to get into some great conversations here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, I'll try.
Good evening. Oop.
Oh.
Go ahead, Wendy.
All right, thanks, Paula. I'm Wendy from Sydney. Hello, everyone. Really nice to see you. I do the narrative coaching course with David and Indigo. I can see you there as well today. We're also on the course, and I just love the work. So I'm an executive coach and advisor. Probably early days in narrative coaching, but I just know it's just really valuable. And the whole idea of thresholds, for me, again, I'm learning about those, but they're just fabulous in a coaching sense. So yeah, just really pleased to be here and meet everyone.
Thank you.
Wendy, welcome, but I must ask you, what kind of flowers are in your background?
They're wattle from the Australian bush.
Gorgeous.
Some people think they're sort of nearly attacking me. Like
Beautiful golden yellow.
Paula Bloom joining you guys from Colorado Springs. I'm a fairly new coach, been coaching for about a year, was selected by my organization to go through the coaching training. And so really do first line supervisors and mid-level managers versus executives, although I'd like to move up at some point, but that's not what they're requiring me to do. And then getting ready to start my own business so that when I retire for the second time, I'll go into my third business. But really excited. I heard David at the WBEX Free Summit, which was one of the first times I was able to do that, and was very interested in his philosophy and his presentation of where coaching should be going and what we should be thinking about, and not just so structured that you're not really listening to your clients and seeing what your clients need. So I did participate in his debrief from the WBEX, and then I saw this, so I thought I'd get on and see what this was all about.
Glad you're here, Paula. One thing that David always says is that most folks find their way to the Moment Institute through some avenue or path of David's work, but they stay here because of the community. You'll find a lot of travelers on the path here in this space.
I'd love to just highlight Indigo's note here about she's in the midst of studying the narrative coaching right now. She's wondering, if I get your question right, Indigo, if joining this this group is sorry, just got completely sidetracked by a text that flew across my screen by my son. The answer to your question is you are welcome, and it is for, I think Emily will explain, it's for everybody that before, during, and after, I think is a sufficient way.
Thank you, Kathy, for drawing my attention to that there. The lab as a space, as a community, the vision for it is to have it be a gathering spot for like-minded, like-hearted people and professionals. And so it will serve both as an on-ramp into David's programs in narrative coaching or integrative development, but also it will serve as a place for us to convene and gather on the other side of those things. I can speak from personal experience, having been in the integrative development program in the cohort in 2021, that it's a quite transformative experience, and the relationships that you create are buoying and so supportive of your growth and development as a person, as a practitioner. And when that program ends, there's this kind of sense of, oh my gosh, I don't want it to stop. I want to stay in regular conversation with this community. And so the lab was really envisioned as a space where we could continue to do that. So there is no prerequisite, requirement to have taken any of David's programs. If you are joining us from one of his presentations, if you did one of his retreats many years ago, or if you are a grad of one of the programs, you're welcome in the lab and welcome to nestle into this community.
I might segue from that, Emily. I'm Bronwyn Eberhard. I live in the small island at the bottom of Australia. I've been involved with David and his work since 2018 and continuously doing things for each year. And so I've done narrative coaching. I was involved in masterminds with certification for narrative coaching. I've done the integrative development and mastermind for that. I developed Serious Play Cafe, which is actually a program that was my development of the integrative work, and it's based around the 5 pillars of integrative development. Each cafe is one of the 5 pillars, and it is doing the work of structured emergence. I work with groups, and we're in each cafe, we're transitioning in, crossing thresholds and coming out the other side. But I use the cafe as a way to help people notice old ways of knowing and doing, and to move out in a more integrated way, in new ways of valuing and being. And I also did the narrative release program. Alison and Anne were on that as well. As Emily said, you develop very deep connections with the people that go through together in these. I'm still meeting with the women that I met, some of the women that I met in my original mastermind from narrative coaching in 2018. And Anne and Alison and I continue to meet as a triad to see the ways that we can integrate the work and apply it. And I'm currently working with 2 groups of 6 women developing Listening for Truth Circles, which is a program that is my application of doing the narrative release work. Last year, David asked me with Claudia, to be a steward of the community. I was still in the process of working out what that meant. So, but we take the park benches, and Claudia does the 10 a.m. New York, and I do the 6 p.m. New York time, because that's 8 o'clock in the morning, Tuesday in Australia. And the park benches, I think that speaks to what Emily's talking about. It is actually a way, to me, that really epitomises David's work, and it was set up as a threshold to experience the work. And I think the whole process of David's work, and potentially the process that can be of value in the lab, is to experience this work in your bones, rather than, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think that the process of the work and the power of David's work is you hear it, it makes sense, and then how do you take it into your life and have it be part of your living? I see it like a Mobius strip, how you experience the theory of it, how you might intellectualize about it. You can keep analysing about it, but actually when you take it back into your own life and start integrating it into how it applies to you in your life, in your situation, that then brings you back around where you can then be applying it in your work with your clients or developing programs for groups or wherever you want to take it. But the ability to feel it is pivotal. And so the park benches was an invitation for people to take a pause in their day and to either regroup if you've experienced this work and be reminded, oh yes, this is what this is about. It's about pausing yourself. It's about the probe. Pause, release, open. Let's pause. Let's feel into ourselves. Let's relax and release into who's the human being in front of me. What is it that I can hear and be open to and able to listen for? And then the opening, the courage to speak the truth and be at the crux of whatever's coming up. And the park bench, the park benches, the idea of that is that whether you're new to David, this is a really beautiful way to come together with people who may never have experienced the work or maybe graduates of the work. And so the foundation of my work is equality of souls, but to me, a park bench, there's an equality of souls when you come and sit together and choose to sit together on a park bench and listen and be present for someone else. So that's still that idea of the park benches will continue as part of the Threshold Lab, but there's still I think we're still trying to make the distinction because it's very different to a breakout room where you can come and go. There's a lot of intentionality about choosing to stop, as you would if you're in a park and there's somebody sitting on a bench. You have to make a deliberate, conscious, intentional decision to pause and stop and take the time and the time out to sit with yourself and sit with another person and really be present for what's going on.
Bronwyn, can I ask if you have, if you'll be
Yeah,
hosting
that was
one
a long hour.
No, it's okay. Thank you for sharing all that you did. And thank you for being the steward of that experience in that space. And certainly, you know, we want to honor the experience that you have led and curate there. Will you be hosting one of the park benches today when we go into breakout rooms?
Yeah, so
Okay.
yes, yeah.
When that happens, when we talk a little bit more about the breakout rooms, you know, I at that time would just kind of invite you to set a tone, or, you know, we talked a little bit about it not being a space where people come and go. And so just, you know, whatever the invitation is to join and experience it, you know, whatever is needed for the felt sense of that, I'll have you share that with the group.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and offering that. We had a few more people join the call. I want to just invite you to share, if you feel called to, you know, what was the curiosity or the interest that brought you into the lab space today? I do see several returning visitors, which is really lovely. And so I just want to hear from you today.
I'm Ruth. I'm in the Abbotsford, BC area, which is near Vancouver. Yeah, I'm very involved in coaching and have used narrative coaching a good bit. Really, really value it. And when I heard about this lab community coming together, I just was curious to learn more about it and see what shape it was actually going to take.
And I want to thank Bronwyn again for what she shared, because I think it was a nice synthesis of possibilities for having gone through programs or having different kinds of coaching experience and come back into community here and be able to share applications of that work, questions, offering guidance and support to each other. If you want to find someone working in a similar sector or with a similar demographic, that's what the lab is for. Today we're doing kind of a live demonstration of the flow of what this will be moving forward. It is a community created space, and what happens here is really dependent upon who shows up and what's on their mind and what do you need. We spend the first 20-30 minutes just checking in and kind of seeing who's in the room and what brought you here and what's top of mind or top of heart. We might have a topical conversation about something, but then the idea is to dive deeper into areas that we collectively define in breakout rooms so that you have a chance to dig deeper in the areas that feel most resonant to your needs for the space or your needs for being here. Right now there's a little bit more structure in place, as the community is growing and we reach critical mass and an understanding of what's possible here. In the future, I would imagine, that someone who is working on a project or an application of this work might come into this space, ask for 5 minutes on the front to explain what's going on, and then host a breakout room and a call for maybe a focus group to talk about this project or the work or to share a story. There might be someone who is really interested in deep diving or exploring a topic that is foundational in David's work that can be seen across the different programs, such as radical presence or structured emergence, as Bronwyn brought up. And then there would be an ability for those people to congregate and to be able to get into a deep conversation there. Today, what I'd like us to be able to do is hear from a couple community members who are co-piloting me today. I have Kathy Gause here and Kathy Washburn, and just to have you meet more people who are involved to kind of get a little bit of a backstory, as we did with Bronwyn, of who are we pulling up a chair and sitting at a table with. The focus of the conversation today will be around community. So Kathy G, if you would indulge me, I just want to ask, how did you come into the Moment Institute? And what has really stood out to you about your time or your involvement in this community space?
Thank you, Emily. It's just a pleasure to be part of this community. David Drake is just amazing. And I've been narrative coaching and ID, and it's called Beyond Coaching is another mini program I facilitated as well as hosted. And I just, maybe it was the pandemic, I don't know, but it's post-pandemic as far as hopefully I am concerned right now. And I still feel this deep, deep sense of community with Emily, with Kathy. I see Michelle at Bronwyn. I feel like I could call them up anytime and they could call me up in the middle of the night, whatever. And this trust and vulnerability that we've gone through, this journey together, has been like nothing else. It was life-changing for me, as I believe Gloria in the chat has mentioned. She's looking for a community to not only develop herself as a coach, but actually to develop herself. And sometimes as a coach, I'm an ICF, PCC, whatever, all the, and I have several assessments, several training courses, but there's nothing like the Moment Institute. I find a natural attraction to it. It's virtual, but again, we're going to be meeting in person together because we're so close. It has taught me, one of the questions David asked about a year ago was, why am I here? And it just struck me so close to home. And why am I here physically, mentally, and it really changed my life because I decided to move. I decided to change some of the my personal characteristics and habits. And I don't think any other program got that close. And it really makes me feel open. It changes the way I coach, definitely. And I again, as Joey said, storytelling I strive to be a storyteller. So I can't wait to hear some of her stories. And it just really is so life-changing, but yet in a social way. So it has helped me tremendously to change my life. Hopefully my family has noticed the difference in my clients. And you really learn to trust yourself and build community. And I love the globalness of it. I mean, where can I, if I just continued I'm in the DC area now, we moved from Virginia Beach, and the globalness, where can I call someone in Australia or someone in Germany and coach with them or be friendly with them and as a coach and ask their opinions and just brainstorm. So this community now is pulling us all together, and it's forcing me to, which is a nice gentle nudge, to get out of my comfort zone and not be so structured and try and experiment, which I've kind of, I get set in my ways and really think out of the box. So I welcome you all to try it out. It's a rich journey that you'll never forget.
Thank you, Kathy G. I'll just share a little bit of backstory that Kathy G was the convener of the mastermind group that I was able to enjoy as part of my integrative development experience. And so, there are different ways to be involved with the work, whether it is in a program as a supporter of a program, or just to, again, be a member or a participant in this space, to utilize the resources, the very rich resources that we have in each other. So thank you, Kathy G. Kathy W. Where in the world are you and what's going on?
I am currently in Austin, Texas. I left my home of Boston, Massachusetts in September of 2021 to travel across the United States to different cancer centers to raise awareness about the emotional and physiological healing that needs to take place after treatment. It's often a big void in that space. I experienced it myself. And I would say I probably walked around suffering silently for about 15 years until my marriage blew up and then forced me to figure out what I was going to do with this second chance that I've been given. So I started my coaching in the positive psychology space. And like Joey, I was just enamored with the power of some of people's stories and how, especially with cancer survivors, how much of their story was so much a part of who they were, because I believe there was not that time to process what happened. So they held a lot with them as they moved forward. So I stumbled into narrative coaching, got hooked. I did the narrative release program and the ID, which is integrative development. And I would say that I'm a gatherer. I like to collect. And I would say before I met David, I was doing more armchair adventuring than anything else because I knew it all in my head, but I hadn't yet had the opportunity to live it. And that came from the ability to be learning and experiencing in a safe place at the same time. So I was completely changing my life. I used to be in investments for 25 years at the same company. So my ground crew, I call them, weren't really able to support this growth in me. A lot of them were like, what in the hell are you doing? Why would you retire from such a successful career? And where are you going? But I found these co-pilots that Emily keeps referring to in this space of the Moment Institute, and I see so many of them here. And Harvey, I've been trying to figure out how, I keep wanting to reach out to you because you stick with me every time I transition into a new state. I think of a small session that you and I did in this breakout session that just gave me wings. And I know that I could call you at any time and say, I need help. I'm not feeling so strong in this moment, and that you would pick me up and brush me off like Michelle did just last week before I spoke at a big conference. So this is a community that you can practice being the version that you want to be. And it's a safe place so that you can go back out into the world and be it confidently and stand in that sense of self-trust. So to me, the community is what actually what enabled me to metabolize my armchair adventures. That makes sense.
Thank you so much, Kathy W. And to both of you for kind of highlighting just some really wonderful aspects of what it means to be connected here in this space and in this community. And so what we want to do is have the ability now to break out into some different rooms so we can have some smaller group discussions. So you could, reflect on, what you might be needing out of any community, not just this community. Maybe finding some words to describe what it is that you're looking for, and how you might tiptoe into those spaces. As Bronwyn said, she will be offering one option for a breakout room, and that will be the park benches experience. We'll have the Kathys working in another, we'll call it maybe the community, dream community breakout room, and I'll label the breakout rooms accordingly here so we can do the choose your own adventure rooms. And then we'll have a third room, but that will just be people who stay in this main session. And if you are new to this space and you just want to talk a little bit more about what is this Threshold Lab, what can I expect, what is the Moment Institute, and just kind of have a bit more of a grounding orientation, I will stay in the main room and we can have those conversations there. So we'll label the first one Park Benches. And that's going to be with Bronwyn. And then we'll do community, and that will be with the Kathys. And then one more room, we'll just call it grounding. And that will be just here with me. So you won't go anywhere. And what we'll do is we will spend, let's say 35 minutes. We'll give 35 minutes to get into these breakout rooms. And when these rooms open, you have the ability to choose where you want to go. So if you're feeling like having a very felt experience with some of the techniques and approaches of David's work, I'll let Bronwyn jump in and talk about park benches here in a second. If you're looking to talk a little bit more about community, what it means to you and what you might need, that will be the room with Kathy, and you'll stay in the main room if you want to have questions answered about the lab or the Moment Institute. So Bronwyn, would you like to hop on really quick and just kind of orient folks to the park benches experience and what's needed for that?
Thank you. So it is the sense, the park bench is an invitation. It's an invitation to take a break, take a pause in your daily life and to join with others for intentional nourishment. It's a space for self-nurturing, to be present for yourself and others in a different way. And it's a place where we can be in the moment and have the freedom to be present for yourself and sharing with others in ways that feed your soul.
Thank you, Bronwyn. Okay, I'm going to open up the rooms. You should be able to see if you click on the breakout rooms option in your toolbar there, you should see a couple of options. And go ahead and select the one where you'd like to experience, where you'd like to dig deeper tonight. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Any reflections from your breakout rooms? Anything that you want to share in this larger space?
I thought it was scary and also fun.
Thank you, Barbara.
I'm happy to share. I think for me, I came onto this call feeling a little jangly this morning. And so I chose the park benches because I do happen to know how capable she is of just holding and creating space. And it was just lovely. I feel very calm now and ready to tackle what is a bit of a hectic day for me. So thank you, Bronwyn and Georgiana and Shannon who had to depart, because it was really just beautiful to share stories and link stories and be prompted by others to really get clear on what matters most at this moment right now. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Alison. Thank you.
I'm just appreciating the different ways that people came into this space, the different things people are looking for. I think I'm just appreciating the Mod Podge that's life, and how it just happens the way that it's supposed to. I know that there were a few people here that watched David's thing and looked on his calendar and saw that this was coming tonight. So it's just, thank you for saying yes, I guess is what I want to say. And it was a pleasure to share time with you.
Yeah, I think, Kathy, I feel the same. I feel my heart was touched. And I was just thinking then, reflecting on the difference between a corporate check-in and just everyone coming together here, and just the openness and honesty, and it's really beautiful. Thank you.
And I want to thank the two Kathys for holding space for all of us graciously. And lovely to meet everyone that was on call as well. And for the wonderful sharings, the vulnerabilities, and us maybe one day connecting again and again and again. So lovely to meet you all.
Thank you, Michelle. It's just so beautiful. You know, you get all kinds of chemistries and colors, and you just blend them all together, and it makes you really think and feel. So I really appreciate everyone and honor everyone's time and energy tonight. Thank you.
I have a curiosity. Oh, I'm sorry, India. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I want to thank the people that volunteered to help me practice coaching. Yeah, I will be in contact.
Awesome. And believe me, some of us need it, so that'll be good.
Yes. That's right. And it can go two ways. It can go however what we want to do it. So.
Great.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank everyone for being who you are.
called you to this trail, whether you stay or continue different paths. I think there's tremendous courage in everyone who shows up to this program. When you look at cultures we come from that are so contrary to what this offers, and I celebrate this even exists on the planet. I appreciate all of you, the depth, your willingness to explore, and creativity in each of you is finding its way. Just thank you for being with me.
Thank you, Indigo. Anyone else have a reflection from the breakout?
So I just, again, I want to thank everyone for their support and listening to my story and being able to share your stories and, you know, the path that led you here and the path that you're taking. So thank you all for being here and sharing.
I have a curiosity for individuals who have been in the lab space before. So if this is not your first time at one of our lab open house sessions, you know, what are you noticing about the space, and you know, what possibilities do you see for this community?
I see a lot of creative juice moving internally and also between and with each other. And I don't think know all where it's going to go yet by any means. And that's part of the event, is being like we're on a train, you know, and one that I'm an armed adventure person and have been that, but it's also functioned as the trigger for me to go engage the world. And we're all seem to be willing to try and explore. Youngton, I was surprised later find out in my adult years when my closest childhood said, you were always the one that wanted to go it. You were never accepting of just imagining or just talking about. And I said, well, I want it to be a part of our 3D. Otherwise, why are we with it? And what I am seeing in everyone that I encountered so far, there's a desire to bring forth what calls to us or speaks to us, to bring it forth in the world, to engage it, to share it, to generate it, to and each other as we follow that trail, sometimes responding to it without even being able to define it and giving it. And that's courage all its own, because as adults, like David was, we want to got it all figured out first before we get water. And what I'm seeing here is this huge willingness that we jointly share to varying degrees at varying times under varying conditions, what together and to support each other as we do now. It's the main way.
I appreciate that framing of responding to something, even if you can't define it yet. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Emily, for me, one of the things that's becoming a little clearer as this is the second one I've attended, and I wasn't quite sure what was happening with it all at the very beginning. I think that was part of the point. But like in our breakout, Paula had mentioned a need that she had, and it all of a sudden started to, and even at Laurel, it all started to kind of come together in my head where, oh, I get it. We're going to be walking into this room and people are going to say, hey, I need help over here. I need help over here. And then we go into our breakout rooms, and some people just might stay in the middle in the hallway and chat for a little while before they go into a room. And if I'm understanding previous conversations, we have the ability to go in and out of rooms, just unless it's the park benches where there's a little more solidity to that. But is that right, that it's a little free flowing that way as well?
Yes, as you know, as we continue to experiment and define the space, you know, there will be some rooms where it wouldn't be beneficial or help facilitate the experience to have people come in and out. And we will always highlight that for the rooms that need to hold that space and that you know, to not have the disruption of people coming in and out. But, you know, for the rooms where we are offering each other different kinds of feedback or being an audience to share, those will be open and that you can bounce between them as wanted or needed.
Thank you.
Emily, do you know how many types of rooms or environments you're going to allow in this part of this process or experience?
I would imagine that it would just be dependent on the needs of the group. So if we were to come in and, you know, there weren't any real identified breakout groups, maybe we would all just stay together in conversation. Or if there were 5 identified needs, you know, we could approach that a couple of ways. We could segment the time so that we had shorter breakout rooms where maybe we had, you know, we offer 3 for 20 minutes and another 3 for the second 20 minutes. The real beauty of it is that it's a responsive design. It's responsive to the needs of whoever shows up.
I'm just wondering if people were to know what, like, I think the park bench, I agree, people coming in and out is hard. So keeping that one separate, whereas having one where you just want to come in and network in and out is another great idea. Or if you want to work on something, and maybe having a theme for the session might be helpful, you know, for if people just want to come in and increase their learning on or practice on a certain, I'm assuming.
As the ideas are really starting to come forth and there's a buy-in from people who see the possibilities and want to start to become contributors in the space, I imagine that what we'll be doing is promoting what will be happening in the lab next Monday. So I will share with you that one of our early members in the lab is going to join us on the call next Monday morning to share a project that she is developing and working on, and we'll bring that into the space. And I'm not sure if there's an ask related to I would like help or I need feedback, or if it's just generally this is a little bit of a show and tell of how I'm applying some of these concepts and techniques in my world or in my realm. But as we continue to move along and people identify a need and want to schedule a time, so it can be organic, you could just show up here and have a need that's met that day. But if you are being a bit more planful, we could schedule a time and then promote what it is that you're doing to say, this person is coming in, sharing some thoughts and ideas on this topic, and there will be a dedicated breakout room for anybody who's interested in deep diving there.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Emily, just a comment. So this is a personal reaction or response to, you said, you used the word, the beauty of the freedom to move between breakout rooms. I'm just wondering if a little bit more thought can be given to something that's more than etiquette, because energetically we are impacted by that movement. It can be inspiring, and we can be triggered and even take it personally. So I'm just, could we think about that? And I wondered if Nicole was still there, Nicole Miller. In our community group, Nicole was sharing with us and was saying something really important. And we, of course, with time got wrenched back to the main session, and that has happened before in narrative release. People can be midway through sharing something that's quite vital. That moment is critical, and there's an interruption. Just making that point, and also saying to Nicole, yeah, I was really interested in what you're going to say next, and it couldn't happen because we shifted.
Thank you for bringing that, and it is my desire and hope that those kinds of etiquette and norms and thoughts about how we engage this space is something that we can collectively define based upon the needs. I would imagine that, with most communities online, there are new and different things that we're navigating, whether it's technology or distractions, that it's helpful to set just some understandings around. And I see that being as an important thing for us to collectively define and share as we build out this space. In regards to the breakout rooms, they're on a timer, and there should be a notification that comes up to alert you that the breakout rooms will be closing. And if that didn't happen for you, I'll make sure that I go in and check the settings to make sure that you are given a heads up on how that works.
We got a 1 minute notice.
Okay.
The group would be closing, and maybe a little bit longer would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
an option.
The other thing I'd like to reflect on is that I think that our group deepened through the 35 minutes that we were together. And as some people ventured out to share some more personal stories, the group deepened, and then other people would also share more personally. And if there was a little bit of in and out, I think would be okay. But if there was a lot of in and out, I think the group would not deepen, and we would not get to a place where those more personal stories would be shared. So I think that's a consideration to be balanced.
Thank you. And I hear that, and I do believe that it's important as we go forward to say, what are the needs for various kinds of rooms? For some of the individuals who joined the
it's hard to predict.
It's hard to predict.
I wouldn't have known that was how this group would unfold today.
But I mean, it could be something as easy as we set up different kinds of rooms that, we make explicit before we go into a breakout room that says, this is something where, people are going to be deep diving on a topic. It's not one that's open for individuals to come in and out of. And just depending upon the content of that, we could, and whoever's hosting it, might have a request to be able to just, hold that space stable.
I still don't quite feel like I'm being heard, because we were deep diving, but it wasn't on a topic. It was just as people shared, the connection deepened, the requests came up, the more difficult things to talk about came up. And so,
Laura, were you at a park bench, or were you in the other group? I'm not sure.
I was in the connection group.
Okay.
Can I make one comment, Laurel?
Yeah.
I think part of the lab space is a space where people can say, hey, can I get a few minutes to do a presentation that I'm working on and just get a little feedback. And so it may be a 5-minute, 10-minute back and forth, not the intimacy that we just created together, more of a audience participation. So
Okay.
There's rooms that would call for that, and to Emily's point, be very clear, and that's what they're asking, versus a room that we created where there was some intentionality to create some intimacy and a safe space for people to land and share. So I think that with this lab space, that was kind of the point I was trying to make, where it's like, oh, we all walk into school and then everybody goes into their different classrooms. I hadn't quite got that concept yet myself, but as I've attended more of them, I see kind of how that's happening and how that could happen more, where people like yourself could say, hey, I'd love to coach somebody, and you just go off in your own. It's just a one-on-one room. It's like pulling somebody into the library versus going into the auditorium to see somebody that wants to practice a presentation. So that was the point I was trying to make. And I think that's what Emily's getting at. And you're being heard in that. I think we need to be really clear about setting the intentionality of those spaces that we do walk into. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I do want to honor your time and that we've been here 90 minutes. I'm happy to stay on the call and to continue to share and reflect, answer any questions that you have. I'm going to drop a link here in the chat, which is just to the lab page on the Moment Institute website, where you can find out more information. We're doing another session next Monday at 10 a.m. and at 6 p.m. if you care to jump back in and join us. You know, it will have a similar flow, but the faces will likely be different, and also the content of what's shared. So if you'd like to experience it again, please come join us.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet a lot of you and see you again.
See you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
You guys.
Nice to
Be
meet
well.
Thank you for everything. Happy to stay on if there's any more questions. Barbara, your audio dipped out. I don't know.
Oh, okay, there I am. Hey, so I actually forgot about this, and then all of a sudden at 9:06, after I told my husband, well, will you grill the pork chops and, you know, I'll fry the vegetables. And so I was a little bit in and out, and I'm feeling kind of guilty about that. And I had intended to ask kind of what was the etiquette, because I felt like I didn't know if me leaving, you know, going over here, you know, doing a little cooking, walking back in, I was still always listening, but my body wasn't always there. So what is you know, what is the polite etiquette and expectation so that I don't be disrespectful?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking, Barbara. And I'll say it's something that we're filling out this space together. The lab is a bit more casual in that there's not a program that's delivered. It's pretty conversational, and, you know, voices hopping in and out and sharing, you know, what's top of mind or top of heart. You know, a unique component of this is, you know, being broadcast in from our living areas, and kind of having both the ability to be at home and be, you know, into this space. I would say that a good rule of thumb is, because motion is distracting no matter what. So whether you were getting up to use the restroom or do anything else, that could be potentially distracting. So I would say if you find that you're not going to, you know, just be sitting in front of your iPad or computer, to just turn your video off. If you're
Okay.
listening in that way, that would be less distracting. Whereas, you know, what's a really beautiful thing is that the lab was always supposed to respond to what the members need of it. And so as we are going into these breakout rooms and seeing the different levels of engagement, the depths of what's being discussed or the space that's being held, it's become clear that some rooms are going to need to be this is a no in and out space. This is, once you come in, this is where you can go and reside, but there's not a revolving door of people coming in and out. Alternatively, you know, I think about the individuals who were in my essentially question and answer room around the lab or around the Moment Institute. You know, once they come in and get oriented or find out, you know, the information that they're looking for, they might want to hop in and experience something else. And so, you know, depending upon the way that the agenda or the breakout rooms are that day, there might be something less, you know, less intense, or, you know, a less kind of connected engagement moment that they could go in and experience, whether it's a presentation or a feedback session, something like that. So I deeply appreciate the conversations that we had tonight, because it feels like an evolution. It feels like hearing people's ideas and desires and being able to respond to that. So for me, it's very welcomed to move this into a place that feels right for this community.
Well, thanks. And I'll try and stay in one spot next time.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
We'll plan better. I just didn't plan well. And
that's okay. Thank you for asking, Barbara. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Nice to see you, Barbara.
It was nice to meet the two of you.
Yes. Bye. I love.
Gotta go wash the dishes now.
Yeah.
I wish I was there for dinner.
Right. Pork chops. Well, I have a question. I don't know if this is the right place to ask it, but I'm curious what the price range is for some of the programs from the Institute, like the narrative coaching program or the ID program, or there's some kind of a retreat coming up. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, can you give me a general idea of that?
I can't speak with any specificity about what the program prices are going to be for the 2023 offering. My concentration and where I work is in the lab space. You know, I will share with you that programs in the past, I can speak to my own experience in the integrative development program, which is about a 9-module program where you're meeting several times within the month with David, with conveners, and with the mastermind, and that leads to certification. That was around $4,000 for that program.
That's very reasonable. Yeah, and of course that could change. You know, they've got to look at, you know, costs, and there's inflation and so forth. But
I just wanted to say that that is my experience from where my entry point was.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's my question. Thank you very much. It was a great experience.
Thanks for coming back. It's wonderful to see you again.
Nice to see you, Laurel.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.